Welcome back to SoulBack. This is the R&B podcast. Kyle here, and I have Tom with me. Tom, what is going on?
What's up, Kyle? I'm excited this week. We are auditioning for a placement for Ed finally. Good riddance to that guy. We have one of our biggest supporters, Dan Bamber, who's stepping in this week. What's up, man?
Hey, how you doing, guys? Good to be here.
We're not really getting rid of Ed. He's just away at, which convention is it this weekend, Kyle?
This week it's the Elle Varner convention, so she's joining us on the podcast, and Ed coincidentally is not here. Actually, we told him to stay off because we have to protect our girl Elle, right?
Ed could be a big-time hater sometimes. I don't know. Whatever.
But it's all good because we have...
how is that going to work with Elle Varner? Because some of his views on her music has not been the most positive.
We got it covered, Daniel. But, well, I mean, first of all, it's great that you're here to join us. But we got to ask you the most important question of all time, Daniel. How do you eat your chicken wings? Because we've been talking about this.
Oh, God.
I got to say, guys, I was fairly disgusted at Tom's approach to eating chicken wings.
What?
I will chew the bone.
Ew.
Getting every last morsel of that wing. Nasty.
That sounds like barbarian type of eating, like caveman style right there. I don't even know what to say about that.
You get the best chicken out there as well. You got Popeyes, you got Chick-fil-A, and that's always a highlight when I travel to the States.
That's the best chicken? What you consider the best chicken?
Oh my God! Compared to what we get in the UK or even Australia, where I live currently.
Oh,
hold on.
I don't know what's going on down there.
Hold up, Dan. In the UK, don't you guys have Nando's?
Oh, we have Nando's in Australia as well. It's originally a South African brand, but they don't really do chicken wings in Nando's. It's more wraps, burgers, that kind of thing.
You're right. Anyway, so Daniel, I'm sure you listened to the last podcast. Tom, I think you missed out on it, but Ed actually explained why he thinks you eat chicken the way that you do, so we need to verify this.
Okay.
Pretty much what he said is you don't like eating the part of the chicken wing that you touch. So I guess when you're grabbing onto a chicken wing, you're holding on to a part of it. You don't like biting into that piece after, maybe for like sanitary reasons. Does that make sense?
Kind of, but not really. I mean, it's just not a clean situation, you know? Like, I like eating a piece of grilled chicken because you eat the whole thing. With a chicken wing, you don't know what you can eat on there. There's fat in there. There's like pieces of muscle. I don't know what's in there. Pieces of chicken bone. I'm just trying to eat the outer portion, which I know is edible, and keep it moving, guys.
The question is, why are you eating chicken wings if you don't like all this sinew?
That's what I'm saying.
That's what it's about, right?
I don't eat chicken wings that much, to be honest, so when I'm forced to, because my wife loves them, I'll dive in and try to be polite about it. I don't want to embarrass the family, you know, and decline the chicken wings.
There's nothing polite about eating chicken wings.
Oh, man. Dan, I know.
Dan, the next time we're in Australia, we'll take Tom to, like, a vegetarian restaurant. I think he's banned from eating chicken at this point.
Well, the next time, have you been before?
We have not.
No.
There you go. Well, you're welcome. Come to Melbourne, most livable city in the world, officially.
Yeah, I've heard that. What's
good.
The biggest type of music down there?
I mean, the local music scene, there's a lot of independent stuff down here. But the good thing about living in a city like Melbourne is that most of the names come out here. I've been to see in the last few months. I saw Van Hunt the other week, and Eric Roberson a few weeks before that, and Anthony David. So, yeah, it's good for that kind of thing. I can just pop over to a little jazz club and see these guys perform. So it's ideal.
Pretty cool.
Cool. So, I'm going to give a quick shout-out here, guys, to our boy Boom Boom Caesar, Tom, who I know we were going back and forth with on Twitter Dan, I don't know if you follow our Twitter, but pretty much we got into a conversation about Ciara, and there's a lot of people out there calling Ciara a legend or a future legend, which I beg to differ. However, Daniel, today's topic is not about Ciara. It's about your boy and the guy that you've defended more than anyone I've ever seen on the website, T-Pain. If Ed were here right now, he would be yelling. What is your love with T-Pain?
I'm disappointed Ed's not here because I would love to have this conversation with him. I got to get it straight with you guys. I'm not saying I'm the biggest T-Pain fan. That's not the case. I have like one of his albums. I appreciate what he does, and I know that Ed defended this a lot. But he is a good musician, and yes, he's proven his ability to sing in some of his YouTube videos. Yet we know his output is largely auto-tuned. But I think there's a place for T-Pain, and I think it's harsh to blame him for the demise of R&B. I mean, one person cannot be responsible for the demise of R&B. And if you look at his albums, he put a lot of people on, like, he's had Musiq Soulchild on his album. Who else is he? I think he's had Bilal on one of his. Maybe.
I didn't even know about that. That's gross.
Who was it? It was Bilal, that was it. He had Bilal on one of his albums. So, he put him back in. He's inviting people to get involved. And he's still doing some good stuff now. I see some of his recent stuff on YouTube is very good, but, the fashions have changed somewhat, so he's not getting the play that he used to get. But he's a good dude as well, and there's not many of them in the music industry.
Wow. Is this Musiq Soulchild and T-Pain song good? Because now Tom's curious.
Oh yeah, it's a great song. It's called Reality Show. It's on his Three Rings album. Great song. It's got Musiq Soulchild and it's got Bilal on the same song.
Wow, I must have missed that T-Pain album along with every other T-Pain album. Sorry, guys.
That's his big album. Yeah, I Can't Believe It and Chopped and Screwed was on there. Good album.
Listen, Kyle. More importantly, though, we got to revisit the Ciara thing. I'm just disturbed to the fact we're having a nice civil discussion with our Twitter followers and supporters. All of a sudden, you get these people coming out of nowhere who just sit on the internet all day searching Ciara's name to see who says anything remotely negative about her and start attacking you profusely. So we just got hijacked and ambushed out of nowhere. We didn't even say anything negatively. We just made some commentary on some facts. And all of a sudden, boom, there's like 50 people attacking us. That's crazy. People just search her name all day.
Yeah, it's one of the craziest things ever. Stan culture is at an all-time high, and it's interesting, Dan. I'll pass it on to you, but I just want to add, we support all of our artists. Sometimes it does seem like we're harsh on Ciara, but really it's fueled by the Stans. But the last comment I saw, which was from Boom Boom, and everyone's entitled to their opinion, but he pretty much said that Ciara will go down as a legend, but Neo won't. I kind of feel like it should be the other way around if either of them will go down as a legend, but how do you feel about that? Do you think that ranking is correct? Because I don't think it is.
No, I totally agree with you. I mean, for me, Ciara, she had a little time with the Queen of Crunk and all that kind of business. And it was of its time, but, I mean, since then, how many genuinely classic songs has she produced? I can't think of many. You look at Neo, he has a consistent, high-quality output. He writes for other people. I think Neo is very, very underrated, and he does not get the credit he deserves. Whereas I hate to say it because I don't want to give anyone any, bad comments, but I see Ciara as a bit of a gimmick that's got a bit old.
Mm.
Wow. So, Tom, that came out of Dan's mouth, not ours. So, Ciara fans, you can attack him.
I'm not on Twitter.
They'll find you, man. They'll come to your house. They'll come to Australia.
Yeah, there you go.
Him too.
Yeah. But Tom, it is interesting how. Do you think it's fair for someone of this generation or from the generation that Ciara's in to be the one that determines whether she's a legend or not, or anyone just in general? Shouldn't it be the generation before that determines whether you're a legend? Because to me, Lloyd is a legend, but I know he's not. But because I grew up with his music, like, I can easily just say that.
I mean, I feel like we've had these discussions, and we know what constitutes a legend. For starters, really no one from the 2000s yet, with rare exceptions, could be considered a legend. We made the argument for Musiq Soulchild for the reasons that he's had classic albums, his music has influenced other generations, his music has stood the test of time, he's had a ton of hits. I mean, does Ciara meet those qualifications? Are other artists trying to be the new Ciara? I don't know. Has she had classic albums? I don't know. She's had a few hits. She's still here, obviously, but she's also like a celebrity, so she's got the money to still be here. So, I mean, that's how I break it down.
Yeah, but I think the biggest thing to take away from this, guys, is that we actually do support Ciara. So don't be too offended if we make a honest commentary about her career. We say it about everyone, T-Pain included, Dan.
Absolutely. And I'm saying, I like Ciara. I wanted to do well. Like every artist, you want the best, but I can't say I've really been into her music for some years now. And that could be a personal taste thing, you know, but it's just that I'm not checking for it at the moment.
Well, Tom, let's go into T-Pain's discography of songs that you do know, and you and Dan, I want you guys to let me know if these songs are actually good. And then we'll see if Dan's stand-em comes out or if you guys are on the same page. Are you guys ready?
Oh, God.
All right. Tom, answer first on this one. Is the song Kiss Kiss by Chris Brown good?
I actually like that song, believe it or not. It's catchy. We'll go with yes for that one.
Yeah, great song, even better video.
I didn't say great song. I said the song is catchy. So calm down over there.
I'm just trying to raise it up a bit.
All right. This song possibly contributes to like the death of R&B, or at least to Tom. Blame It on the Alcohol by Jamie Foxx.
Man, that's one of the most disappointing songs of the past decade. It probably ranks up there with Trey Songz as Say Ah for me, and like some of the worst songs we've heard in R&B in a while.
Wow, that is a strong opinion. Would you disagree? I really like that song. I think it was I'm not going to say classic for its time, but it was a well-played song at the time, and it's definitely a song that I like, for sure.
Someone cut this guy's mic off.
All right, last song. Bartender by T-Pain. Tom?
Is that song where he goes, "Can I buy you a drink"?
No.
No,
what's
but
that?
we can.
Is that a different song?
It's a different song. It's similar.
Oh, it's a similarly bad song. Okay, cool.
All right.
I like Bartender. It's, of the three that you've mentioned, it's probably my least favorite, but it is a song that I still own, and I do quite like it. Yeah.
Wow. Do you think T-Pain is more of a legend than Ciara? Don't answer that. Don't answer that. Okay, we're done with the Ciara hating. We actually love Ciara. Shout out to Ciara. Guys, let's talk about there you go.
Yep.
I'm gonna quickly just run through some of the new music that came out here. You guys let me know anything that came out that you can think of for these. Angie Stone dropped her new album, Full Circle. Elle Varner dropped her EP, Ellevation, and Gallant. Aren't you a fan of Gallant, Dan?
Yes, I am. I saw that you posted his most recent song on your Facebook page, and I actually really liked it. I think he's a talented dude, great singer, very original as well. So I'm a big fan.
Tom, we talk a lot about the new female R&B artists such as H.E.R, LMA, Queen Naija, Summer Walker, etc., etc. Is Gallant your favorite new male R&B artist?
What are you defining as new? Like debuted within the? Because he's been out for like a minute now, like 5 years. I feel like.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, we had that tweet. I made that tweet a while ago. I would say that like Kevin Ross, Ro James. I guess you could put Luke in there if you really want to. Mac Wild. So how about that era onwards?
I feel like that's a different generation, though. I mean, those guys kind of came in the early. That more relates to that tweet you put out, you know, with the whole Bridget Kelly, because Ro James has been around since the early 2010s, and then like Gallant, I feel like came around 2015. You know, his album was in 2016, so I feel like that's a bit different, but he's up there. I mean, he has an amazing voice. His music is a little too alternative for me, alternative R&B. It's not really my style, my preference, but he's talented.
What about what's happening with Kevin Ross? Because he seems to have gone quite quiet, unless I'm missing something.
He started his own label, so he broke away from his label, Motown, and he started his own independent label. So you know how hard it is to get exposure once you're independent. So he's still doing his thing.
He's very good, and that the album, The Awakening, is I love that album. And when he was on your podcast, he came across as such a grounded, chilled out, really good guy.
Yeah, he's
true.
That's our boy. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle. He did the first edition of SoulBackPodcast. Yep.
That was from Kevin Ross. And, I think he's on Instagram a lot doing, like, song covers. I think he actually did, like, a cappella cover to the Super Mario theme song, like, a week ago. Go check that out.
Now, Kyle, I want to touch on this again, though. You made that tweet about that generation, and we're going to talk to Elle Varner about this later in the show, but you made that tweet about that generation being kind of a dark era for R&B. Do you want to talk about that?
I mean, yeah, and Dan, I want to hear your thoughts on this because obviously we know we all grew up on 90s R&B, 2000s R&B, and we talk always on the podcast that around 2010 is when the shift started to happen, where maybe even a little bit before that, where everything just became a little electronic, the EDM was really taking over, and then that created a new opportunity for artists like Frank Ocean, Miguel, The Weeknd to kind of come in with that alternative R&B sound. There was still a demand for traditional R&B, but it wasn't like it used to be, and artists such as Luke James, Elle Varner, Bridget Kelly, Seven, they came in during that era when the demand for R&B just wasn't there, but they still tried to put out traditional R&B, and it kind of just like fell to the wayside. What were your thoughts on that era? Like, were you still following R&B then, or did you start losing interest?
No, I've always been following, always, and I see where you're coming from with that. I know, obviously, I'm a big fan of traditional R&B, but at the same time, I really was a fan of that almost the revolution of the new style of R&B. When Miguel came out, I thought that was really original, and he was trying something new, and I'm a huge fan of Miguel, but I think if you're looking at Elle Varner, who you'll have on, I felt her first song that she released was a very, very solid song, the one with J. Cole. I think it was Give It To You, was it? That's the one. But
yep.
I kind of felt like with her second single, she just went a little bit poppy. And I think that was perhaps, I don't know if I would say a mistake, but it didn't sound like traditional R&B to me. What was that song called?
Refill?
I think Ed mentioned it. Sorry, go ahead. Refill, that was it, Refill. I wasn't really a fan of that, and it didn't really feel like it was in vogue with her first single. But I just think maybe that some artists maybe lost a little bit of faith with following that traditional R&B route, and, you know, with record labels being the way they are, maybe we will push towards a bit more of a wider everyman appeal style of song. things tend to fizzle out when you kind of do that kind of thing.
I look at it like, and we talked a few weeks ago to Adrian Marcel, and he touched on something similar. A lot of times the label dictates what comes out and what sound you're going to come with. So we can't. I wouldn't put that. I mean, Refill was a big hit, so it's hard to say the label was wrong with that choice, And I think she had, we're big Elle Varner supporters and fans. She's got a lot of great songs. I just feel like the label kind of, and this is something we'll talk about with her when she comes on, but they kind of messed it up for her, I feel like. And, her first album, for those who heard it, that people love it, that oak and pop sound, and it's just, but that's kind of, when I think about that era, though, for me, I think about when I came with the site, when we started the site, we were first getting into these artists. We were getting introduced. I remember here in New York, I'd go to so many events where they'd introduce me to artists who were coming out on the label. And now looking back, I can see how many of those artists never made it. It's crazy to think about. I was thinking I was going to see the next big R&B star, and most of them never even came out, but mostly because of the way the industry was going away from R&B.
Yeah.
So shout out to artists who have been able to make it through. I mean, Elle Varner's still here. She's still on the label, E1. Yeah. A lot of her peers are gone. And I think about Marcus Canty a lot. He was signed to Epic and L.A. Reid. And I haven't heard from him in like 5 years, and he was supposed to be the next big thing. I think about what Sylvia Rhone had, and she was introducing a whole bunch of different artists. None of those really ever came out. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's a crazy time, but I mean, we got to keep it moving. We have a new batch of R&B artists, and they definitely have more of an opportunity than the last generation did, and I think they're taking advantage of that, and they're doing well. But I mean, I'd like to see another album from, like you guys said, Kevin Ross. I know Ro James has been, I don't want to say he's been on the shelves, but it's been a while since we've heard from him. He's dropped a couple of singles. Hasn't really stuck yet, but we're hoping for the best. But, guys, I want to switch gears a little bit. I talked to a well-known producer. I'm not going to say who it is. A well-known producer who works extensively with one artist. And over the last couple of years, he hasn't worked with the artist as much because the artist has wanted to, just spread and go his own way and, take control of his career. They've done some work together on this new album, and I asked the producer, the work that you do with him is his bread and butter. Is he aware of that? And the producer said, yes, he is aware of that, but he feels like he needs to be hot again before we can put this stuff out, which is why he releases trendy songs. Now, I'm not going to tell you guys to guess who that is, but isn't that sad?
Hold on. Ed, Ed. Dan, do you know who he's talking about? And if you do, don't say it.
Well, I'm not going to say it, but I've got my suspicions. I'm probably off.
Okay.
But maybe you can tell me offline.
We'll tell you offline.
Yeah. But how do you guys feel about that? Like, Tom, isn't that... and this is an artist that already has established his name, by the way. It's not like some new artist, but isn't that sad that they feel like they need to be hot again?
But that's so typical. I mean, you see that all the time where these artists go chasing trends and care more about being famous and being popular than the actual craft of the music. That's why it's so disappointing.
And that's why it was so refreshing when you had Eric Roberson on a couple of podcasts ago, because there's a man who is so steadfast in his love of the genre that he's all about the music and he's all about the creativity. So having someone like that is the perfect antidote to the modern problem of, people trapping all over songs and trying to appeal to the younger market to get his foothold. But it's very sad. But I don't work for I don't work within the industry, so I don't really know the internal workings and why this happens. It's just as a fan, I just find it a bit frustrating.
Yeah,
for sure.
What's your opinion, Kyle? Because I know you're a big fan of this artist.
Yeah, I am, and I've followed this artist since the beginning of their career, and you can tell when an artist goes out of their way to make a trendy record. I don't care how they sell it. I don't care if they say it's still within their foundation or what they're capable of, but you can tell. And over the last couple of albums, I mean, I hate to do it and admit it, but it's like kind of how Ed says it. I just cherry pick off the songs that I really like, because for every song that I really like, there's about 3 that are like, this is kind of trendy. So it is crazy that artists still go this way, especially if they've already established their career. This should be the time for you to really do whatever you want to do. I think it's early on where the label kind of forces their opinion on you. But once you're established, I think you need to just go for it and do what you want. But hey, that's why we're podcasters and not artists. I don't know what they go through, but hopefully they put out some good music soon. Guys, let's talk about the most important topic of all time. And Dan, this is pretty much why we brought you in here. Musiq Soulchild versus D'Angelo.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Where is this coming from?
Wow.
Who is better? Who is better?
Oh man, you're putting me in a position here. They're so different. I mean, I love them both for very different reasons, and I think I commented on your Facebook page about it. So for me, I mean, there's so many Musiq Soulchild songs that I absolutely love to bits, and he will always be one of my favorite, if not my favorite artist. I mean, I got a huge picture of his album cover in my living room. He's great.
Wait, Dan. Hold on, Dan. We have to ask you one question, and then you can continue. Is Radio by Musiq Soulchild a good song?
No. Not for me. Not for me.
I don't think he would. Music himself would tell you it's a good song.
All right, continue.
But that's more along the lines of his little alter ego, The Hustle, really. That's more in that kind of style, isn't it?
Yep. Wow, you have a big poster of music in your room. That's crazy. Tom, do you have that?
I've got the big album cover on my wall.
No, I don't have that, but what I do have on the bar in my apartment is his vinyl of his debut album. So it's more, just a background piece. Not a poster on the wall or anything like that.
Let me ask you guys a question, because I always get the feeling when I listen to the podcast that not one of you is a fan of D'Angelo, which I find astounding, because for me, his songs are just a different level for me. His albums, should I say, actually. His albums it's more about the albums for me, and the kind of ethereal feel from start to finish that I love about D'Angelo, and they're real timeless classics to me. So he's more an album dude, and music's more of a kind of, to me, it's more about the individual songs.
I'll break this one down, Kyle. Take a seat for a moment, all right?
All right.
Brown Sugar, obviously, timeless classic. One of my favorite albums of all time. One of the best R&B albums of the 90s. Influenced the whole, neo-soul artists like Musiq Soulchild. There probably would be no music without D'Angelo. Let's get that clear. But after that, to me, his career has been a disappointment. And I don't like Voodoo. I think it's highly overrated. People call it a classic. I don't know how. I don't think there's many good songs on the album. I thought Black Messiah was extremely overrated. It feels like an unfinished project. And I feel like we're still holding D'Angelo to this high standard of his first album, just like the same we do with Lauryn Hill. We hold them as legends. However, if they had dropped 5 subpar albums after the first album, which neither of them chose to release anything really, we probably wouldn't even look at them like we do now. So that's my strong opinion on this.
I actually think that Voodoo is easily his best album, and it's in my top 3 albums of all time. Easily top 3, if not number 1 for me. One of my, maybe Songs in the Key of Life, Stevie Wonder, obviously, but Voodoo for me is an absolute classic, and it's definitely got a big place in my heart. But I think
hold on, let me ask you a question. Let me stop. How old were you when you heard Voodoo?
18.
So would you say that had a big impact at that time in your life?
Yeah, more than likely. Yeah.
Okay,
Say,
all right.
Albums can be a time and place.
That was my point. Maybe for you, because that's a big time when people hold albums near to themselves around that age. I'm just saying.
Maybe.
Tom, I see where you're going at with that too, because I think the true test for whether an album is good or not, personally, is not when you listen to it as as it comes out and you think it's good. It's when you can go back and listen to an album and still realize it's good. Like, I can go back and listen to Toni Braxton's first album, and I can undeniably say that it's a good album. I don't think if somebody that was born today went back to, Ciara's third album, I don't think they would say the same thing. Again, not a disrespect to Ciara. It was just an example, guys. Calm down. But I don't know, because, Tom, if an R&B fan who had never heard Voodoo listened to it today, do you think they would like it, or is it super weird?
Well, I tried to listen to it again recently, actually, the past month or two. I played it 5 times in a row. I'm like, what am I missing here? It was around the time we had that discussion on our Facebook page. I still couldn't figure it out. And let me tell you, Dan, I go to so many events, or I have been to so many R&B events and stuff. I never hear any songs from this album played, with the exception, obviously, of Untitled, which is one of the most covered songs and played songs I hear. No one ever plays any other song from this album, ever. So to me,
I think that's exactly the point that you're missing, is that you talk about songs and you talk about individual songs. When I think of Voodoo, I don't think of individual songs. I think about the piece from start to finish, how it flows, the feeling, the musicianship. It's not about the individual songs for me. It's about the piece as a whole and how it flows. And I think if you talk to any fan of the album, they'll pretty much say the same.
I get your point. I still am not agreeing with you, because to me it just doesn't have.
Thinks it's a piece of genius. That's good enough for me.
I will respect your point. It's like we're looking at a piece of artwork, like Van Gogh or something, and it's like abstract, and I don't understand it, and you get it. So let's put it that way.
Well, music is art, guys.
Thank you. I'll give it over.
Music is art. We're allowed to think like that.
It is.
Yep. All right, Daniel.
Wait, hold on. Daniel, what about Black Messiah? You didn't comment on that one.
Black Messiah, same principle in that. I think there's more singles, more individual songs on Black Messiah that stand out as individual pieces, perhaps, than Voodoo, and it's still a very good album. But of the three, it's not, obviously, Brown Sugar is a classic, Voodoo is a classic. Black Messiah is still a very good album. When it came out, it was like 2015 when it came out? I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I've been waiting so long for new music from D'Angelo. So I wasn't disappointed at all when it came out. But it's not as good as Voodoo or Brown Sugar. It's still a very good album.
All right.
Tom, I can now use Dan's excuse for like Jodeci's last album. I can just say, it was a piece of art. It's not going to be appreciated by everyone.
All right, let's use that.
We'll go with that. We have one more question for you, Dan, and then we're going to just quickly wrap things up so we can bring in Elle Varner. But how does a guy from Australia know so much about R&B?
Well, I'm not from Australia. I'm originally from the UK. I moved over here when I was 30. But
okay.
I get asked this all the time of my friends, because not many of my close friends are huge kind of R&B soul fans. But I think it was in my teen years, I got really into Blackstreet in my teen years, and it just went from there. And I was going to all the club nights and going to see various kind of R&B DJs, and it just stuck with me, and I became obsessed with the genre hip hop as well, kind of UK hip hop, grime, that kind of thing. It's all within the same ballpark. And then I just got more and more obsessed. And if you remember in the kind of late 90s, early 2000s, when R&B was very trendy and quite populist, I noticed there's a lot of people into it back then who since, they've really not followed it through, they've not stuck with it, whereas I just stuck with it and just got so much from it. And then when I found your podcast a few years ago, I was so thankful that there's other people out there who are as passionate, actually way more passionate than me. So I really rely on you guys to keep me on the pulse. And I think I can speak for probably most of your listeners. You're an absolute godsend. I don't know where I'd be without you guys and your posts and putting me onto new music. I think it's some of the best new music I've downloaded over the last years. It's pretty much 100% being from finding out through the podcast and Ed Soul Stereo website. So yeah, you're a real godsend. I'm not leaving it now. I've stuck with it this long. I'm not turning my back.
We really appreciate that, man. We just try to be a voice for some of these artists who really just need some extra help to reach the masses, and we're grateful that we've been able to achieve that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Dan, before we get out of here, then Dan did bring up a very cool point about that late '90s, 2000s era where R&B was like the hip thing, the trendy thing for everyone to like. You remember those times when everyone loved R&B, right, Tom?
Oh yeah, R&B was pop, we like to say.
Yeah, those are the good old days. And yeah, Dan, you're right. A lot of my friends who probably grew up listening to like 112, Drew Hill, et cetera, they probably just loved the singles, but now they don't even bother with R&B. It's kind of sad, yep. But hey, you know what? Following a genre is a lot of dedication. I'll tell you that. It's a lot of work.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you guys are proving that every week.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have one play of please for this week. It's to the Ciara. No, we're not going to make fun of the Ciara stands. We love them. But, guys, I think that's it for this week because, Tom, we got Elle Varner coming up. But, Dan, is there anything you'd like to add on before we get out of here?
No, I've really enjoyed it. It's been good to chat with you guys and finally get this T-Pen business out in the open and the D'Angelo Musiq Soulchild thing. But I have to say this year has definitely been a marked improvement, I think, from last year in terms of R&B. I've definitely been noticing that. Was it last year? It was getting a bit bleak at one point last year. You guys were really struggling to get kind of end of year countdown. Was that last year or was that the year before?
No, I remember last year being pretty sad. Tom? Tom?
Wow.
Yeah, are you still there?
I got cut off. The baby Maverick hijacked the podcast. He's sitting on my lap.
Right. No, it was last year that you thought was disappointing, right, Tom?
Yeah, last year was a tough year for the genre. Absolutely.
I'll tell you, the one guy who's really impressed me over the last 2-3 years in terms of going his own way and turning his back on the big labels and doing it to the music, PJ Morton. Wow, I saw him live. Great. Gumbo is my favorite album of the last 2 or 3 years. And he's definitely he's got his Just Rewards, he's got his Grammy, so I think that guy's really doing it.
Absolutely. Well, Dan, we're running out of time here. We got to bring in Elle, but I appreciate you for joining us on the podcast. We'll definitely have you back sooner than later. But again, you've been great. I know a lot of T-Pain fans are going to be very happy with you. A lot of Ciara fans will probably come at me, but that's life. Tom, I guess we got to grab our popcorn and our soda because Elle Varner is coming here now.
All right, Dan. Thanks for joining us.
All right, guys. Welcome back to SoulBack. And like I said, every week we try to bring in someone special, someone who has brought SoulBack. And Tom, I'm really excited for this one, and I know the listeners are as well. They've been asking for her for a while now. Tom, who do we have as our special guest?
I'm excited to introduce this week's special guest. We've got the amazing Elle Varner, who I personally have watched her grow from before she was even known till now to this point where the new project's releasing. Really unique and special talent who's, been doing her thing in the industry for some time now. Welcome, Elle Varner, to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Tom, I got to throw it to you first because, like you said, you've been following Elle since the start of her career, maybe even a little before then. So, Tom, give me your first impressions of Elle when she first came out.
Elle, I've just got to share this story with you because I remember before you even had a single out and the label introduced your music to me, and I was like, wow, who's this? And I always share the story. You were probably one of the first artists for I Got Soul who we knew about, like before they blew up and helped, introduce to everyone. So that was a special moment for us early on in the site. So, man, do you remember those early days of coming out as an artist?
Yes, I do, vividly. I do.
Even before the single was out, remember? You were doing covers.
Right. Yep. Adele and Miguel. Yep.
Miguel, yeah. I remember that one.
Yeah.
And now here we are. I got to be honest, we've been waiting a minute for this new project, and we're excited it's about to be here. What can you tell us about how you're feeling right now?
I am feeling so excited and just grateful overall to finally. Hold on 1 second. I can't concentrate. Sorry. Give me 2 seconds. I'm so excited to finally be releasing this project, and just of course things could have been different. We always can look at life that way. If this had gone that way, if this had happened, but what I'm starting to see here is things falling into place in such a magical, phenomenal way that I couldn't have predicted myself. For example, I'm independent now. I own my masters. I started my own record label. Like, these are things that could have maybe not happened until 20-something years into my career, had things gone differently. And I'm just leaving Apple Music right now, and just being able to go up there and meet with people, not just as an artist but as a label owner, is really powerful and exciting. So just to have finally a project to talk about and put in people's hands is just like, okay, let's go.
Right, absolutely.
Right. Now, Elle, you got to break it down to us in terms of that period after your debut album, because I'm sure a lot of fans have been asking, where's the music, and that went on for a certain amount of time. So what were your feelings like when the fans would ask you, because that can't be easy to tell them, you got to wait.
Right. Well, I mean, it's been a learning process. What I've learned, and I'm still learning, but is to not take everything, to kind of have like a barrier, an emotional barrier to understand how the business works, and not to internalize everything, because that's what's dangerous. When you tie in your emotions and the fabric of your life into this one aspect of your life. And I experienced that for some time. What saved me from that was just going back to the basics, which is creating, getting back in the studio, writing songs. That's what you can't take that away from me. No one can take that away from me. And even though I wasn't able to release music and it was frustrating, I got through it, and here I am now,
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, we're really looking forward to hearing this project. Like we said, I know, Kyle, you've had a chance to hear it, but Elle, you got to fill us in, because we've heard this project called a few different things. Is it an album? Is it a mixtape? Is it an EP? Like, what are you considering this?
It is. It's definitely an EP. It's an extended EP. It's got 9 tracks, but it's absolutely setting up for the sophomore album, which I'm pretty much finished with. But I just saw 1985 the other day, and Brian Michael Cox. Yeah, I know you guys know him, but 19. You know 19?
No, I don't.
He's half of Division, and he's one of the big OVO Drake producers. So I worked with him a couple years ago. So things are just starting to really come together in terms of, like, I've just done so much from BET Awards this year to Essence Fest. It's nice to be back in the mix. Like, meeting all these artists, Lucky Day, Black. Well, I didn't meet Black yet, but we're friends. We have a little inside joke about that. But it's just really exciting to officially be back, have something to talk about, something that I know for sure is coming out. It just changes the whole experience from this idea to a reality. And so I'm networking and just being out there in the space. So, yeah, Ellevation is the setup for the album, the official album, which will have certain tracks that are already fan favorites. I'm known for that. Nothing will be on there. And that's pretty much the only one that people will know. Other than that, the rest of the number one song is on Ellevation. That was another fan favorite. So
cool.
Yeah.
So, Tom, like you mentioned, I did get a chance to listen to Ellevation earlier today. I went through the whole thing, and I gotta say, on the record, "Wishing Well" with Rhapsody. It's funny because a couple years ago you put out songs like "F It All" and "Cold Case," and that was like that angry Elle Varner time period. And now "Wishing Well," that's such like a self-reflective, like you're letting you're wishing them well, even though they may have done you harm in the past. Just talk about the change in mentality there.
Well, thank you for pointing that out, and that literally is why this project is called Ellevation. It's not just a cute pun on my name. It's like that all that baggage and all that anger and disappointment was bringing me down, in so many ways. And the fact that it's called Ellevation and it is such an uplifting message, and I'm in such a better place. I'm happy to share that. And I said this earlier. Honestly, I'm glad. Well, I don't know if I want you to quote this, but of course, 4-letter word would have been great if it had come out. But now I don't have to be defined by such a hurt project. Like, I was hurting badly, and I love the songs. I always will, but I don't have to define my second album by that level of that particular emotion. I think my music has always uplifted people in some way and struck a chord, so I'm happy to be doing that.
So I'll tell you what, Elle, man, we were so happy to see you land on your feet with E1, a label we worked with throughout the years extensively. They have so many dope R&B artists that they make great signings. I'll tell you though, and you don't have to respond to this, but man, we were mad at RCA because we were waiting for that second album to come out, and we felt like it should have come out. And we don't have to get into it, but we were mad at them. So we'll just put it that way. So, but we're happy to see that you're landed with, because so many artists from your generation we feel like have faded into obscurity. But at least E1's a great machine to help you drive this new project. So how do you feel about being there?
Yeah. Oh, I love it there. First of all, I'm given the freedom, the creative freedom to really do what I want to do as an artist, but have the support and the funding that I need to, and the resources, to execute. And then there's also just such a phenomenal staff, Some people I've known for years from different situations. It's a small boutique vibe, and everyone's just so talented and committed to each artist individually, which is amazing. So I'm just this is so wonderful for me to be in this situation where I'm getting the best of both worlds.
Right. And of course you wish RCA well, right?
Oh, I wish them well. I wish them nothing but well. No, I really do. I'm grateful to RCA and MPK for helping me start off and on a professional level, because I started in middle school, high school, but to help me get my name out there on a professional level, and what we started will always be revered and appreciated by me. But it's time for a new chapter, and quite frankly, I'm stepping into. I can't say that I would have ever, even though initially, like, I went to NYU, Clive Davis School, to learn the music business. I wanted to. I always saw myself potentially as an executive or, running a label, but something in me said, "No, you got to go for this artist thing, because just do it because you want to and because you can. Do it because you can." And I'm glad that I did. And now I get to do both. I get to be an artist, but I also get to start expanding the business side of my career as well.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So.
Nice. Now, Elle, just like Tom was mentioning earlier, when you came out, R&B was in a much different place than it is now.
Yeah.
I would honestly say when you came out, that was probably the toughest time for R&B, because the demand for it at the time, it wasn't there, but you were one of the few new artists that actually made it and hit the mainstream. What was the challenges that you had to go through during that time period that people might not know about?
I think that at the time I was so, first of all, I saw a void in the R&B space at the time, and because I grew up on such classic R&B, it was perfect. It was like, okay, we're gonna take this hip hop bottom and marry it to this acoustic / R&B, whatever this is that I got going on, because it's definitely unique, and we did that, and all I had to do really was just take a stand for it at the label, and when you have that confidence, it kind of brings everybody on board. So I wouldn't say once we got to the point of deciding we were going with it, with like Refill, for example, which there was a challenge. Some people wanted me to take out the fiddle. I was just so confident about it, and it really showed. It yielded the results that I was hoping for in terms of being able to cut through and bring R&B, classic R&B, a little bit more mainstream at that time.
Right.
And then, quite frankly, it opened up. It started. It started a domino effect, It's just like with each artist that comes and breaks through a certain threshold, you open the doors for others, and that's a beautiful thing. So I'm just happy, overall for R&B as a whole right now.
But there's one artist I've got to bring up who I believe you were label mates with at MBK, and that's Gabi Wilson, aka H.E.R, who has kind of been interesting. She's had her own, kind of trials and tribulations to making it, because if you look at what the label kind of had her do with the image and not showing her face for a while, and even to me, I still look at Gabi Wilson and say, man, she's really not showing her full vocal potential. She's kind of holding back, and I think that's also label driven. So I look at that as that's maybe something she struggles with, but she's extremely successful, obviously. But as an R&B lover, I just look at it and look, damn. What do you think about an artist like her?
Well, I think she's incredibly talented and hardworking, and I think that it's exciting to watch. I've known her since she was probably 10 or 11, and to see that she is really making a name for herself on such a massive level. That's what this is all about, you know what I mean? Especially for Black female artists. we deserve to be heard on mainstream, you know what I mean, just like everybody else. So it's all a collective, even though we're individual artists, whether it's LMA or Ari Lennox or her or Marsha. It's like everything that it's a ripple effect, you know, and it's a cycle that keeps giving and taking and giving and taking. So I think that, I don't know, man, that's a little boss right there. So I think that whatever she's doing, I'm pretty sure that she's got her vision, and that's what I would hope for. And you know, she's got her whole life really there to just. That's the thing about it, is that I've learned most of all is like this is an ever changing paradigm that you're here one day, you're there the next day, and the one thing I would give to any artist, piece of advice, is try to keep your joy throughout it, and don't measure your worth on your current position, because that can change at any time. And once I got past that, there ain't nothing you could do. You can't take that away from me. You know, like many new artists, you just want to get to that point. You want to make it. You just want to make it, and you're like, oh, I just got to make it. But then to keep it and to keep your sanity and your health and your emotional health, all that's a different game right there. And I feel like it's a valuable lessons that I've learned, and as I continue and begin this journey with my label, I now have so much more to offer any artist that I sign, you know, in terms of the experience, the hands-on experience that I can offer is unique and rich.
Right. And shout out to her. I've met Gabi a couple of times, and she's super dope. But Elle, I want to get back to you for a second with your projects that you have coming up here. Perfectly Imperfect, massive success with Refill, Grammy-nominated single as well. So with this new project and future projects that you have coming up, how are you going to measure the success, being that now you're independent? Like, do you still look at it the same way you did when Perfectly Imperfect came out?
Oh, definitely not. I mean, the thing is, a lot of that, there's a certain level of success that's almost guaranteed with a certain amount of money that's spent on a major campaign. You know, the budgets are endless. It's just a different thing. What I'm building now independently is, it's not something that yields the most immediate return, and that's completely okay. We don't know what's going to happen. It could, one of the singles off of this could blow up, but it might be the next project that blows up, or the one after that. But the most important thing for me is that I finally can stop talking about it and have it out. I can tour now because I have new music, and I can just continue. If I want to drop another album on July 25th, I can do that. That's up to me. So that's just the best part about it.
Right. And then lastly, Elle, we're almost out of time here, but I got to ask you this, because it's a massive transition for you to go from major to indie, and it's not for everyone, right? The indie life, it's tough. It's a lot more that you have to do yourself. So when you had to transition over to indie, and that was a couple of years in the process, in the making, did you ever think about at some point giving up and figuring out something else to do?
I would be lying if I said I didn't.
Wow.
I definitely started, and on the song Be Encouraged, one of the lyrics, I've been where you are, so low, wonder why I'm here for real though. Like, it's a little bit dangerous, the level to which I identified my my self-worth, not self-worth, but how much I validated myself by my exterior success. And you know, okay, I went to NYU, okay, I got nominated for Grammy, okay, I won a Grammy, okay, I'm on this, like, I'm on Elle magazine, like, okay, that's cool and all, but on a much bigger note, even if whether I'm singing to 5 people or 5,000 people, the importance of that doesn't change for me anymore. Like, I know that it might be one person that was there in that room that needed to be there. For example, perfect example, I just did a show at a college outside of Philly a couple of months ago. They said not only was I the first female headliner they've ever had, but I was the first artist that they've ever had that brought together black, white, gay, straight. There was every kind of student in that audience, and they've never had that unity at their school before. So I don't take any of this for granted. I mean, I think that as long as I keep showing up, and thank God I didn't quit, as long as I keep showing up and doing the work and having fun with it, it's going to be more than okay. And it's more than okay now, but in terms of, like you saying, measuring against perfectly imperfect, I'm very optimistic about the situation and just my life in general and my career.
Wow. Well,
you know,
goodness
Bill Withers started at 32 the first time he walked into a studio. So, you know, Tina Turner was 44, I believe, when she left Ike and became the Tina Turner that we know. So all these things, if I can give anything to the people listening or reading this, it's like whatever field you're in, whatever you do, just make sure you're good with yourself. That's all you can control is your perception. You can't control others. You can't control your boss. You can't control your boyfriend, your girlfriend. You can't control none of that. So, you know, you are in control of your emotions and the way you choose to go through this life and how it affects you. That's what I've learned from this process, and it's invaluable. And yeah, elevation.
That's dope, Elle. Thank you so much. And we're out of time. I just want to give 2 quick shout-outs, Elle. The first one is to Cape Verde. I know you're part Cape Verdean, and Elle, my wife is actually Cape Verdean. My son, who's 6 months old now, is half Cape Verdean, so I got to always show love to Cape Verde.
Much love, much love.
And the second shout-out is to your dad, who, you know, always holds you down. We've seen him perform with you in your band, you know, at your shows throughout the years. I believe he introduced you on this call, so I always got to show him love as well.
Thank you. I will let him know. I will send him that love. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much again. Looking forward to the album. Best of luck.
All right. Thank you. 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 All right. Thank you.